There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden images which thou hast set up. See, it's a quote, so I'm not saying that everything that people call gods is gods, but Mishal, silk of God, is interesting. It's not the name you'd expect a male to have, but of course they could be saying these people, gender neutrals and all. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do you not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that deity that shall deliver you out of my hands? And kind of reminds you of in the Goetia, what it says about Pa Moon. That's number 9 in that series. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our deity whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy entities nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spoke and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And they commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hose, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then the 3, as out of one mouth, pressed, glorified, and blessed deity in the furnace, saying, Blessed art thou. God is noun and verb. God of our fathers. Was that Baruch atah Yahweh Alhinu? And to be praised and exalted above all forever. Now, Ahinu is not quite the same as saying the ancestors, but in Hebrew it's usually rendered as that Eloheinu, and to be praised and exalted above all forever. And blessed is thy glorious and holy name, and to be praised and exalted above all forever. Blessed art thou in the temple of thine holy glory, and to be praised and glorified above all forever. Blessed art thou that beholdest the depths and sittest upon the cherubim, and to be praised and exalted above all forever. The im is the plural, so the s is doesn't make sense. Blessed art thou on the glorious throne of thy kingdom, and to be praised and glorified above all forever. Blessed art thou in the firmament of heaven, and above all to be praised and glorified forever. O all ye works of God as noun and verb, bless God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye heavens, bless God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye angels of God as noun and verb, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. All ye waters that be above heaven, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye powers of God as noun and verb, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye sun and moon, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye stars of heaven, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O every shower and dew, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye winds, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye fire and heat, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye winter and summer, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye dews and storms of snow, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye nights and days, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye light and darkness, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye ice and cold, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye frost and snow, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye lightnings and clouds, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O let the earth bless God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye mountains and little hills, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye things that grow on the earth, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye fountains, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye seas and rivers, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye whales and all that move in the waters, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O all ye fowls of the air, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye beasts and cattle, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O Yisrael, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye priests of God as noun and verb, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye servants of God as noun and verb, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye spirits and souls of the righteous, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O ye holy and humble men of heart, bless ye God as noun and verb. Praise and exalt him above all forever. O give thanks unto God as noun and verb, because he is gracious, for his mercy endureth forever. O all ye that worship God as noun and verb, bless God as noun and verb. Bless the God of what people consider to be gods. Praise him and give him thanks, for his mercy endureth forever. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose in haste, and spoke, and said unto his counselors, Did we cast 3 men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. See, this phrase is, no matter how many times we see it in what they say the Old Testament is, it's like, oh, don't take that literally. But when the phrase is used in what they call the New Testament for Jesus, they're like, people are, But for that and other reasons, we should know better, right? Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spoke and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego came forth out of the midst of the fire, and the princes and governors and captains and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was there a hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said, Blessed be God as a noun and verb, of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they may not serve nor worship any as a god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. And I think at one point they would have said Ahura Mazda or, something like this. And in this story, because as I've said in the previous program, these events aren't 500 BCE or something like this. This refers to something older that's been rewritten. At least 1500 BCE, probably older. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God hath wrought toward me. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore I made a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dreams. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the Cushdim, the 5 times a day prayers, monotheistic at the least. Some of them are pure monotheists, some of them aren't. And even the possible Magian revival of 1700 to 2000 BCE would have, it's possible there was even a revival then that religious transmission goes back even further. There's linguistic cues and thematic elements that may indicate an older period. But anyways, and the soothsayers, I'm not sure what all words are used for magicians and soothsayers at the moment. Yes, I did a program that talked about that specifically, and I told the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But at last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, or is it Belshazzar or something, according to the name of my entity, and in whom the spirit of whom we considered to be holy gods, and before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, Belteshazzar, I don't know, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of of what I consider to be holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the visions of my dreams that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. Thus were the visions of mine head in my bed. I beheld a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great, and the tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. the leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. The beasts of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all the flesh was fed of it. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, Hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the field, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beast in the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, forasmuch as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy entities is in thee. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spoke and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruits thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown, and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and a holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let the portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king. And this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my lord the king, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall be wet with thee with the dew of heaven. 7 times shall they pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins and righteousness and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. And all this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spoke and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee there is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws. And at the end of days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. And they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of divinity, which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his prince, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. Now, I don't know if by concubines they mean wives of a lesser authority, but because I don't know what word's being used here. They drank wine and praised the entities of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, and the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote out one against another. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Cushtim, and the soothsayers. And the king spoke and said to the wise man of Babylon, whosoever, the Magians is another way to say Chaldeans, but the king spoke and spoke to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him. And his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spoke and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy entities, and in the days of thy father light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the entities, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts, was found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. And I say entities because, could even be thought form entities that they're worshiping, but what they consider to be gods, basically, is a more literal translation. And that's sort of what I consider to be God. That's like implied with some of these terms. So you don't have to have different language for people that are firm in faith and those that aren't, or, those who are monotheists and polytheists. They all kind of use the same language. I'm kind of sick of, in message boards, people talking about, well, El is this and Eliun is this and Shadi is this. It's like, well, if you're polytheist, you can consider these as different entities, but our Al-Wadud is a voluptuous woman, and Wadud is a voluptuous woman, and Aziz is like a soldier, and various things. I don't know, but people personify whatever names of divinity that they want. Basically, it doesn't mean that's inherent, or whatever culture favors one term. That it's like, oh, cultural misappropriation or some whatever. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spoke and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel which are of the children of the captivity of Yehuda, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I've even heard of thee, that the spirit of the entities is in thee, and the light of understanding and excellent wisdom found in thee. Now, there wasn't, in the older version of the story, there's no mention of the tribe of Israel or the tribe of Judah or something like that. So, and Judaism, I guess when this book was written, Judaism was a formal path, or at least something you could call Judaism. But I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of what we consider to be gods is in thee, that the light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing, and I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet will I read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king, the most high divinity, gave Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor, and for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he slew, and whom he would, he kept alive, and whom he would, he set up, and whom he would, he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast in the dwelling which was with wild donkeys, and they fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High divinity ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thy heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against God is noun and verb of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords and thy wives and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised what you consider to be gods, silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the divinity in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Mene mene tekel upharsin, or upharsin. I'm not I don't remember exactly how it's spelled at the moment, so this is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom, and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances, and art found wanting. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Now I'm presuming divided, spread out is the last word. And from something. Okay, no, I'm not going to attempt further. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Zoroastrians, slain, and Dariavaush the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Now this does put it in a particular period, but there's a bunch of reasons why we could say this is a rewrite. But Kurash, I prefer Kurash over Dariavaush, but you know, 62 years old. It pleased Dariavaush to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, forasmuch as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Dariavaush, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom and governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any entity or man for 30 days, save of the king, O king, shall he be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. I don't think there's any reason to say historically that Dariavaush or any of the Achaemenian kings would have ever called for themselves to be treated as a god. But, I mean, the Bible says it, but doesn't seem to be any evidence among them that I would think of. Wherefore King Dariavaush signed the writing and the decree. When Daniel knew that this writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times